Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV with your NFL Fade the Public Playoff Edition Divisional Round video for this Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, January 21st, and Sunday, January 22nd. Four big NFL divisional playoff games. Probably the best week of the NFL playoffs. Next week is pretty good as well as we get both conference championship games. Hey, by the way, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What's your favorite round of the NFL playoffs? The divisional round, the conference championships, maybe the Super Bowl. I think they're all great, and they all provide excellent money-making opportunities, and the public is active this week. I'm going to let you know the most public sides and totals for all four divisional playoff games for Saturday and Sunday right here on Wager Talk TV. Quick reminder, if you missed out last week on that NFL playoff special, shame on you, but it's not too late to get an even deeper discount. Look, last week I offered it for $99. It was normally $149. We gave it to you for $99. Well, this week the real price is $99, but I'm going to drop it down to $59 because that's going to be the price next week. You see how this works? You basically get the discount a week in advance. You're basically getting the divisional round for free because if you wait until Monday, the conference championships and the Super Bowl is going to be $59. Get on board right now and get the divisional round included. Everything for just $59, but you have to have a special promo code NFL59. NFL59 gets you the rest of the playoffs and the Super Bowl for just $59. Normally it's $99. It's just $59 with that promo code. Don't wait. Super strong best bets for this weekend, the divisional round, on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. Rest of the playoffs and Super Bowl for just $59 with promo code NFL59. All right, let's go down in start time order. Going to look at the two games on Saturday first, and we will start off with the 4:30 Eastern kickoff between Jacksonville and Kansas City. This game is on CBS. It's the only game on CBS, and they get the early kickoff. Actually, I'm sorry. This game is on NBC. I misspoke. It's NBC. The only CBS game will be the Buffalo game on Sunday. They get a good one. But not a surprise that Jacksonville is slotted into the early spot with Kansas City. This is often the case in the NFL playoffs, and NBC does get this game at 4:30 Eastern on Saturday afternoon, but should be a good game. Jacksonville obviously flying under the radar. Huge comeback last week. Never in doubt, Jacksonville plus the 2.5 outright win. But let's be realistic here. That's the Chargers up 17-0 early was all on quick turnovers. Even the 27-0 lead was basically all turnovers. So Jacksonville really wasn't being thoroughly outplayed. They were just shooting themselves in the foot. Trevor Lawrence had played fantastic over the final couple of months of the season, and he got them in a position to win the division title in that Saturday night game in the season finale, make the playoffs. Obviously, he did not play well in the first half, but he did turn it on in the second half. And this is a team that's really playing loose. They're playing on borrowed time, in my opinion. So they are a dangerous underdog here. Kansas City, meanwhile, coming off the bye week. Only one team gets a bye in each conference. Keep in mind, this playoff format started last year. The two number one seeds, the two teams with the bye, both lost outright in the divisional round. But that was the Titans and the Packers last year, who barely finished top 10 in my power rankings. In fact, Tennessee wasn't even a top 10 team in my power rankings last year. Neither one made the playoffs this year. So I do think Philly, who we'll talk about in a little bit, and Kansas City are both better number one seeds. But something to keep in mind that the new playoff format did not treat number one seeds well last year. Let's look at the public consensus. Look, I've got public data on 3 of the 4 games this week. This is not one of them. Pretty split here. Some spots I look at have Jacksonville, others have Kansas City. So I'm going to call the side in this game neutral. I did not see much public sentiment in this early kickoff on Saturday. The other 3 sides we're going to talk about do have some strong public leans and plays for you. This game, though, did not qualify. As far as the total, public is leaning over. Not a surprise. Basically, every playoff game last week, depending on what lines you used, went over the total. We had a couple games that landed in between the opening and closing lines, but you could have won the over in all 6 games, depending on when you played them. 4 of them easily went over last week. So there is a premium with over-unders this week, and the public is leaning towards the over in this game. Spoiler alert, they're leaning towards the over in every game. I'll let you know which ones are the most public as we get to each game, but the public is leaning towards the over in all 4 games in the total. Not a surprise, as no game clearly went under last week. But once again, of the 4 playoff games, this Jacksonville-Kansas City matchup is the most neutral. A little bit of a public lean towards the over, really nothing on the side either way. All right, that's the early game on Saturday. Let's get to the late game on Saturday night on Fox at 8:15 Eastern between the Giants and the Eagles. This one does have some strong public sentiment. For those of you that are new to the video, first of all, where have you been? We've been doing this for over 2 years. It's been very successful. The premise is to fade the public long term because you're going to get line value, first of all. And when there's groupthink on one side, it moves the point spread too much. But the premise in general is that the public plays favorites and they play overs. We talked about that. They're on the overs in all the games this week. and they usually play favorites about 60-65% of the time. So to say a favorite is very public, you need pretty high consensus. Not the case with underdogs. Whenever you see an under or an underdog, it's always a red flag. And the Giants this week are not only the most public play of the week, but they're an underdog on top of that. A huge public dog, one of the biggest public dogs I've seen all season. Now, we do see this more in postseason football. We see it in the NCAA tournament, in big high profile games, national title game. The public was heavy on TCU against Georgia. How'd that work out? Once again, the public does come in on dogs when it's big name teams or they're off upset wins. And that's the case here because the Eagles really struggled over the final month. Jalen Hurts is still not healthy. And that is my concern in this game is how healthy Hurts is with that shoulder. Didn't look great against the Giants. And isn't it interesting that that's not only a divisional rival game here, it's the third time they've met, but it's also back-to-back meetings for the Eagles as they just played the Giants in the season finale, a game in which they had to win to get the number one seed in the bye. New York had nothing to play for. They were already locked into the sixth seed. They were playing Minnesota, and the Giants did not play all their starters, and that line steamed all the way up to 14, 15, 16 points. Yes, the Eagles got the win, but it wasn't that impressive overall, just 22-16. They did have a bigger lead early. Hurts was not 100%, did not look great, but now he's had 2 weeks. He's had an extra week off. Giants, meanwhile, had to go to Minnesota and pull the outright underdog upset against a vastly overrated Minnesota squad that was 13-4 in the regular season, despite, as we talked about, being outgained on a yards per play basis and outscored overall on the season. Well, guess what? The Giants are also in the same situation. Giants on the year are now 10-7 straight up, and they have barely outscored their opponents. Going into last week, they'd been outscored. Now it's almost dead even. They're slightly up by a couple points after the Minnesota win, but they're still being outgained by almost a half a yard per play. So Giants, maybe Jacksonville, but the Giants are probably the weakest team remaining in the playoffs. Problem is the point spread. It's at 7.5, which is a very key number 7. So we'll see if this drops down to 7 or less by Saturday night. I do think the public is heavy on the Giants this week as a public dog, and maybe that'll drop it. We'll see if it's enough. As far as the total, once again, just like the Kansas City game, the public is leaning towards the over. I'd call it a lean only, but once again, the Giants are definitely a public dog this week, and that qualifies as a very public play. All right, those are your 2 Saturday games for Saturday, January the 21st. Get to the Sunday games here in just a moment. Quick reminder that now is the time to get on board for the rest of the NFL season. Look, if you wait until next week, it's going to be $59 for the rest of the season and the Super Bowl. If you sign up right now, it's $99. But with promo code NFL59, NFL59, you get the rest of the season starting right now for just $59. That means you're getting the entire divisional round this weekend, my best bets, for free. It's that simple. It's $99. You get it down to $59 with promo code NFL59. NFL59, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Powerful NFL best bets going this weekend. By the way, as I record this video, we're on a current 72% all sports run, and we're also 7-1 already this week in football and basketball. We won the Monday nighter with the Cowboys over the Buccaneers, and we've gone 6-1 on all basketball plays heading into Thursday night. Getting this up a little early for you this week because I know all of you can't wait for this public information. Don't forget, hit subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts when these videos go live every week so you can be the first to watch and win. All right, let's get to those Sunday NFL divisional playoff games. First game goes at 3 o'clock Eastern, and this is the CBS game. CBS got a good one here. They only get one game. Fox gets 2, NBC gets 1. CBS got a pretty darn good one here with the Bengals and the Bills. Part 2, it's barely part 2. It's really the continuation of the first quarter. Let's keep in mind, when these teams played a few weeks ago, Buffalo was a 2.5-point road favorite. Total closed around 50.5. It was 48-49, went up to 50.5. When the game was suspended, Cincinnati was up 7-3 with the ball in the first quarter. So obviously they had the edge at home. The in-game numbers reflected that. The Bengals were actually -3 to 3.5 on the in-game line. Total was as high as 56, even a 56.5 out there. So Bengals and the over was the preferred side when the game was suspended. Now we see the adjustment because Buffalo is back home for this playoff game, and they are currently, as we head into Friday, a 5.5-point favorite. Line opened as low as 4 earlier in the week, was 5. Now it's 5.5. And that is an adjustment, obviously, because Buffalo was a 2.5-point road favorite. So I think that's one of the reasons this line has risen, as it was a little bit short at the opener. But what's interesting about the line rising is that Cincinnati is a pretty public underdog. I mentioned the Giants. Bengals, the second most public play this week, and also as a dog. So both the Giants and Bengals, public dogs this week, which is always a red flag alert for those long-term loyal viewers of this show. Know we don't get a lot of public dogs, but when we do, we pay attention. And Cincinnati definitely qualifies as a public dog. And I think one of the reasons, of course, Well, a couple reasons. First of all, Cincinnati was outplaying Buffalo early in that game a few weeks ago on Monday night, January 2nd. And also, the Bills struggled last week, barely got by the Miami Dolphins with third string quarterback Skylar Thompson. Really never sniffed the cover, could have lost the game outright. That line went from 8.5, 9.5, all the way up to 14 when it was announced that third stringer would be playing for Miami, and Buffalo obviously did not take the game serious. We'll see if they rebound this week. They had that emotional win against the Patriots to finish the regular season. They stayed at home, gave up a lot of points against Miami last week, giving up the 31 points. But what's interesting about it, though, statistically only 200 and some yards allowed. They had 3 turnovers. In fact, they've had 3 turnovers now in 3 straight games against the Bears before Christmas, and then that New England game, and then, of course, Miami last week. We'll see if Josh Allen and company can take care of the ball at home. Turnovers are going to be the key because Joe Burrow is not going to beat himself. Bengals have had 1 turnover or less now in 6 of their last 7 games. They've been the most profitable point spread team for the past 2 seasons in the NFL. They got off to a slow 0-2 start this year. Keep in mind, Burrow did not play the preseason, missed the whole summer with surgery recovery. He's been pretty much automatic the last couple of years, including winning the conference. So I can understand why the public is on the Bengals in this game, yet the line is rising. Cincinnati does have another offensive lineman out. That's something sharp bettors look at. So maybe we'll see as we get closer to the weekend. This could very well qualify as a sharp square divide. Public is definitely on Cincinnati, yet the line is rising higher. As far as the total, this is one of the most overplays this week, one of the most public overplays this week. In fact, of the 4 overs, I mentioned the public was leaning over in all 4 games after the high scoring games last week. I would say this is the most public. So public definitely on the over in the game. Of the 4, probably the most public over is the Cincinnati Buffalo. And once again, the Bengals qualify as a public dog. By the way, got to talk weather real quick when we talk about Buffalo. I didn't mention this on the Saturday games. Weather does not look like much of an issue in any of the games. Might have some rain in Kansas City on Saturday, which I forgot to mention. Philly's going to be cold, 31 degrees on Saturday night, but the Giants and Eagles are both used to that, but it'll be clear, low winds, no precipitation. Buffalo's having some nasty weather this week, but they lucked out with the Sunday afternoon kickoff as it looks like conditions will be fairly clear for Sunday afternoon, but it is something we'll keep an eye on. This can obviously change as we're 48 to 72 hours out. As we transition into the other games, San Francisco also can get gusty winds and rain, but it looks like a kickoff Sunday evening, late afternoon out there. It's going to be clear as well. So weather does not look like much of an issue in the 4 NFL games. But once again, I'm doing this video on Thursday evening, so we'll find out that could change. We're still a couple days away, so keep an eye on the weather. But right now, it looks like conditions will be pretty clear, even though there's some dicey weather beforehand in a lot of these cities. All right, let's talk about that late game for Sunday, the final of the 4 divisional playoff games, and that is Dallas at San Francisco. That game kicks off at 6:30 Eastern on Fox. Fox gets both of the primetime games on Saturday and Sunday, and this should be a good one. Dallas Cowboys, nice showing on Monday night. I mentioned earlier we had a strong best bet on Dallas. It was more of a play against Tampa. What a phony team Tampa was. Name only with Buccaneers, with Brady there. And by the way, chime in below. Let me know where you think Brady will end up next season. Will he play at all? We talked about this earlier this week on Tuesday on Wager Talk Today. Teddy Covers, myself, and Dave Sherapan mentioned the odds, and Tampa's at 2-1. No value there. I do not think he's returning. I wish I could take the other side of that, but unfortunately, they don't allow that. It's only 2-1 on the yes. Raiders 2.5-1. That's the next likely outcome. Patriots 7-1. That was interesting. Ravens 40-1. That was my long shot pick with the Lamar Jackson turmoil and situation. 49ers, though, were on that list. I think they were like 3-1. Thought that was very interesting because Mr. Irrelevant, Purdy, quarterback Purdy, 262nd pick, has been pretty good so far this season, to say the least. But it's interesting because if you look at the teams they've played, Purdy has not been tested yet. In fact, San Francisco this season has played the weakest schedule of all 32 teams in the NFL. Dallas, though, has played the 5th weakest schedule. In fact, that NFC East, despite the fact all 4 teams had winning records for most of the season, they played very weak non-conference or non-division opponents, rather. So Dallas, 5th weakest, 49ers, the weakest schedule this year in the NFL. By the way, there's lots of different schedule strengths you can look at. I go pretty in-depth with my power ratings, but just for the sake of the video, I'm using the Sagergan ratings. We talked about that also earlier this week on Wager Talk Today. Pretty good segment there. You might want to go back and check those replays out here on Wager Talk TV. 49ers, though, have been on fantastic current form with Mr. Irrelevant. But look at who they've played. He stepped in the Miami game back in early December, finished strong, and then he got starts in each of the last 6 games. Against Tampa, 35-7 win, but Dallas just beat him up as well. Twice against Seattle, the Raiders, Cardinals, and the Commanders. Not my Washington Commanders. Definitely a step up in class here against the Cowboys, so we'll see if that makes a difference. But then on the flip side, it's a terrible scheduling spot for the Cowboys. They had to play Monday night on the road and now travel again cross country without rest, while San Francisco played the early game at home last Saturday and won fairly easy. So they have an extra 2 days of rest and they remain home. In fact, if you look over the past few years, a situation like this where a team has 2 more days rest, the road team, the team with 2 less days, is just 9-24 straight up. So that is working against the Cowboys. But what is working for the Cowboys is that the public is on the Niners. I'm not going to say it's an official play, but this is what I'd call one of those additional leans that I give out during the season. Public is definitely leaning towards San Francisco. Not as strong as the Bengals and Giants, those 2 public dogs that we talked about earlier. But the 49ers are definitely the public side in this game. I'd say that's an additional lean. Just missed making the cut as an official public play. So public does like San Francisco. And lo and behold, they're leaning towards the over as well. Once again, public leaning towards the over into all 4 playoff games this week in the divisional round. Hey, hope you found this information useful. Do me a few favors. First of all, if you did, hit subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts when these videos go live each and every week. Been getting the playoffs up a little bit earlier. I got this one up on Thursday night, so don't miss out. Be one of the first to watch when you hit the bell for instant alerts. College basketball top 25 videos. Been doing them on Wednesday and Saturday, so check back Friday night into Saturday for another college top 25 video in college hoops. And don't forget to hit the like button, the thumbs up, and most importantly, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the divisional round. Where do you see value this week? Do you like any teasers? Hey, look, on Saturday, you got the Chiefs 8.5, Eagles 7.5, crossing them down below 2.5 or less covers those key numbers. That's going to be a very popular teaser play. Do you agree or disagree? Player props. Let me know your NFL playoff player props as well. Like, subscribe, and comment below. And don't forget, now is the time to get on board because you're basically getting the divisional round for free when you use promo code NFL59. In fact, you are getting it for free because the price right now is $99. Next week, it's going to be $59. But when you use promo code NFL59, NFL59, you get the rest of the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl for just $59. That's the equivalent of getting this entire weekend for free. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter as well at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L on Twitter at Steve Merril. And I'll be back all week long right here on Wager Talk TV, talking more college and pro hoops, maybe a little NFL talk as well. Best of luck this weekend. Enjoy the games. And I'll talk to you again soon right here on Wager Talk TV.